Welcome to Cheater Confessions. Let's get started with today's story. I'll never forget the look on Tammy's face that night at the resort restaurant. She froze mid-laugh when she saw me sitting across the room, and her smile fell off like it had been ripped away. She was with Kevin, the man she thought she could hide. Next to me was Olivia, Kevin's wife. That was the moment everything shifted. Tammy and I had been married for 14 years. We had built a quiet life, steady jobs, a modest house, plans for a cabin one day. I worked in operations for a logistics company. Tammy was an event coordinator, always juggling client dinners, weekend trips, and late-night calls. I trusted her routine, though lately I had noticed changes. A new perfume, late returns with flimsy excuses, and an unusual spark in her wardrobe. Small things that I brushed aside because I didn't want to see trouble where there might be none. One Friday she came into the kitchen humming, suitcase already halfway packed. "Sedona," she said lightly, sliding a dress into her bag. "Wellness retreat with the girls. Hiking, yoga, and spa. A full reset." I asked, "All work friends?" "Yeah, of course," she answered too quickly. Then she flashed a smile. "Don't worry, Danny. I'll text when I can." At the airport, she kissed me on the cheek and waved before disappearing into security. She looked relaxed. I told myself I was overthinking, that she deserved a break. Still, when I drove home alone, there was a weight in my chest I couldn't explain. The first 2 nights, I distracted myself with takeout and late hours at work. Her texts were short, generic. "Great hike today," or "Spa was amazing." Nothing unusual, but nothing personal either. By the third night, the silence felt heavier, though I had no proof that anything was wrong. On the third night, I was finishing leftovers when my phone buzzed. It was Ryan, an old friend from college. He worked in sales and traveled constantly. His message was short. "Danny, you need to see this." Attached was a 30-second clip. The camera panned across the pool bar at the Red Ridge Resort in Sedona. Tourists in wide hats, kids splashing. But in the background, clear as daylight, Tammy leaned across a lounge chair toward a man. Her hand rested on his shoulder. His face turned, and I recognized him instantly. Kevin, a client of Tammy's from months back. Ryan followed up. "Didn't want to get involved, but that looks like Tammy. I saw her twice today with this guy. Sorry, man." I replayed the clip. Tammy's sunglasses, her smile, the silver bracelet I had given her on our last anniversary, catching the sun. No doubt. I opened my banking app. 2 recent charges lit up the screen: a rideshare drop-off at Red Ridge Resort and a dinner at a place called Mesa Flame, both in Sedona. I sat at the kitchen table, phone in my hand. There was no room left for doubt. Tammy wasn't hiking with coworkers. She wasn't meditating or detoxing. She was drinking cocktails with Kevin at a resort she hadn't mentioned once. I didn't slam doors. I didn't throw anything. I just sat there, steady, planning my next move. If she thought I was blind, she was wrong. And before the week was over, she was going to find that out the hard way. The morning after Ryan's video, I was at my desk at work, staring at a blank screen, when my phone rang. The number wasn't saved, but I answered anyway. "Danny?" a woman's voice said, cautious but firm. "My name is Olivia. I think we need to talk about Tammy and Kevin." For a moment, I said nothing. Then I leaned back in my chair. "I'm listening." She exhaled like she had been holding it in all night. "Kevin's my husband." I found confirmation emails on our shared tablet. Flights, spa reservations, dinners. He told me he was in Dallas for a conference. That was a lie. And then I saw a video online. A sales rep from his company posted a clip at the Red Ridge pool. "He's in the background, with your wife." I closed my eyes. Ryan had just sent me the same thing. Now there was no chance of error. Olivia's voice hardened. "I'm not calling to cry about it. I'm because I want this dealt with properly. I don't want a screaming match at home. I don't want excuses. I want the truth exposed, and I think you do too." "Yes," I said quietly. We compared notes, her tablet logins, my banking alerts. Every timestamp matched. Same dates, same locations. 2 people were weaving the same cover story while their spouses sat in the dark. "What do you want to do?" I asked. "Confront them," she replied. "But not in secret. Not at home, where they can twist it later. Public. Controlled. No way for them to wriggle out." I thought for a long moment. "The resort restaurant," I said finally. They'll have to eat dinner there at some point. If we sit across from them, there's no denying it. Olivia's tone sharpened with resolve. Good. I'll handle the manager. He's discreet. I've been there before for a work retreat. We'll have a table waiting. We agreed to meet in Sedona the next day. No theatrics, no shouting, just two betrayed spouses stepping into the light together. For the first time since Ryan's video, I felt steady again. Tammy had her plan. Now I had mine. The next morning, I packed a bag with only what I needed: 2 shirts, a pair of jeans, and the folder of financial documents I'd pulled from my desk the night before. By noon, I was driving north toward Sedona. Olivia and I agreed to meet in the lobby of the Red Ridge Resort, the very place Tammy had sworn she wasn't going. When I arrived, I spotted Olivia instantly. She was sitting near the entrance, phone in her hand, jaw set. She looked like someone who had already made her peace with the fight ahead. "Danny?" she said, standing. We shook hands, no smiles, just an understanding. We went straight to the front desk. Miguel, the dining manager Olivia had spoken with, greeted us quietly. "I've arranged what you asked for," he said. "Tomorrow night, they have a 7:30 reservation in the main dining room. You'll be seated 2 tables away. No fuss, no scene, unless you decide otherwise." "That's perfect," Olivia said. That evening we stayed out of sight but close enough to observe. From a shaded corner near the pool, I saw Tammy laughing too easily at something Kevin said. He leaned back, smug, as if the whole place belonged to him. My chest tightened, but I kept my voice even. Olivia nudged me. "There. That's the reality. Not stories, not excuses. Just them." We didn't approach. Not yet. Timing mattered. Tomorrow night would be the strike. Back in my room, I took care of unfinished business. I called my bank and froze the joint credit line. I moved the bulk of our savings into a protected account, something I was entitled to under our prenup clause. No drama, no threats, just practical steps. When I hung up, I sat on the edge of the bed, calm for the first time in days. They thought they were on a secret vacation. They had no idea both of us were already here, waiting. The game wasn't theirs anymore. It was ours. Friday night came faster than I expected. Olivia and I dressed clean and simple, nothing flashy. We weren't there to play dress-up. We were there to end the lies. Miguel greeted us at the door and seated us where he had promised, 2 tables away, a perfect line of sight. From there, all we had to do was wait. At 7:40, they walked in. Tammy wore a bright coral dress, her arm brushing Kevin's as if it had always belonged there. She looked carefree, laughing at something he whispered. But then her eyes lifted, sweeping across the room, and landed on me. Her face collapsed in an instant. The color drained, her smile gone. She stopped mid-step, and Kevin nearly ran into her. "Tammy?" I said evenly, rising from my chair. My voice carried further than I expected, enough to draw a few glances from nearby diners. "How's the wellness retreat treating you?" Her lips parted, but no words came. Kevin turned sharply. "What the hell are you—" Olivia stood beside me, steady as stone. Her voice was sharp, precise. "Vacation looks lovely, Kevin." The room quieted. Heads turned, whispers ran across the tables. Tammy reached out a hand, as if distance could be erased with one gesture. "Danny, wait," she stammered. "It's not what you think." I met her eyes. "It's exactly what I think." I didn't shout. I didn't argue. We didn't need to say another word. Every person in that dining room had seen what just happened. Every excuse Tammy or Kevin might try later had already crumbled in the silence they left behind. They thought they owned the stage. But the spotlight was on us now, and the scene wasn't theirs anymore. For a long moment, neither Tammy nor Kevin moved. They stood as if nailed to the floor. Kevin finally cleared his throat, forced a smirk, and said, "This is ridiculous. We were just catching up." Nothing happened. Olivia laughed once, sharp as glass. "Catching up? You booked a suite together for 5 nights. Want me to show the confirmation email you forgot to delete from our tablet?" She tapped her phone screen. Kevin's face twitched. Tammy tried next. "Danny, please, can we talk privately? Just the 2 of us?" Her voice cracked under the weight of the room watching. I shook my head. "No more private stories, Tammy. You had those chances. This is the truth, and it's out here where everyone can see it." A couple at the next table leaned in, whispering. The whole room had turned into a courtroom, and Tammy and Kevin were the only ones on trial. Kevin gripped the back of a chair, jaw clenched. "This is between us, not a public spectacle." I kept my voice calm. "Then you should have kept it between you, instead of bringing her to the same resort where half the state comes to vacation." Olivia slid her phone across their table, the glowing screen displaying a timeline of charges: airfare, spa treatments, dinners for two. "You lied to both of us, Kevin, and now you get to own it." As we walked past them, I glanced at Tammy once more. For the first time in years, she had nothing left to say. The drive back from Sedona was silent. I didn't bother checking my phone, though it buzzed nonstop. Calls, texts, all from Tammy. I let them pile up. By the time I reached home, I knew exactly what had to be done. The next morning, I called a locksmith. By noon, the locks were changed. Tammy's keys would no longer fit. I boxed her clothes, her toiletries, and her framed photos from the bedroom and set them neatly in the garage. No anger, no chaos, just order. When she came back and tried her old key, it didn't turn. She knocked hard. "Danny, open the door. We need to talk." I stepped outside, keeping the door at my back. "No, Tammy. We're past talking. Your things are in the garage. I'll have the rest sent with the lawyer's list." Her eyes went wide. "The lawyer? You're already—" "Yes," I cut in. "I've spoken with him. You'll get the details tomorrow. From now on, everything goes through him. Don't call me again." She shook her head, tears streaming, voice rising. "It wasn't what it looked like. Please let me explain." "You had plenty of chances to explain," I said. My tone stayed level. "You chose lies. Now you live with the result." She reached out, but I stepped back. Olivia's words from the restaurant echoed in my head. They thought they could write the story without us. Not anymore. That night, Tammy sent a long message, paragraphs of excuses and half apologies. I read the first line, then stopped. The next morning, I replied with 2 sentences. "All communication goes through counsel. Do not contact me directly again." It was short, cold, and final. Exactly what it needed to be. Olivia and I met once more a week later at a coffee shop. We exchanged a few updates from our lawyers. She looked tired but lighter. "Thank you," she said simply. I nodded. There was nothing else to add. We weren't partners, but we were something stronger. 2 people who had chosen not to be fooled again. Tammy kept trying through email, promising the whole truth. I ignored. Their romance didn't survive the fallout. Without secrecy and stolen time, there was nothing binding them together. Tammy blamed Kevin for being reckless at the resort. Kevin accused her of dragging her husband into it. Word got back to me through mutual contacts. They had stopped speaking entirely. Last I heard, Tammy moved into a short-term apartment near her office, trying to salvage her job. What happened to her no longer mattered to me. Their lies had collapsed in public. Their bond had already broken. 3 weeks later, I sat in a small bistro downtown, the same kind of polished restaurant where everything had first cracked open. I ordered a simple steak and a glass of red wine. Nothing fancy. I thought back to that night at the resort, when Tammy froze mid-step and Kevin nearly tripped trying to cover for her. They had walked in believing the world was theirs, only to find me and Olivia waiting, steady, calm, unmoved. That memory no longer burned. It steadied me. As I lifted the glass, I caught my reflection in the window. A man who had been blind for too long but had finally opened his eyes. I wasn't angry anymore. Anger fades. What stays is the lesson. Tammy had tried calling once more through her sister, some plea for closure. I ignored it. The divorce was finalized, signed, and stamped without drama. Closure doesn't come from the liar. It comes from deciding you don't need their voice anymore. My home felt different now, lighter, more open, without secrets clogging the air. I wasn't defined by what Tammy had done. I was defined by how I responded. Quiet strength, clear boundaries, and the ability to walk away without looking back. Tammy thought she could take her lover on vacation, far from suspicion, and rewrite our lives without consequence. But in the end, she found me sitting in the same resort, right beside his wife. That was her reckoning, not mine. For the first time in years, I feel lighter, unburdened. And I knew this much was true. I could lock eyes with anyone now, and never flinch. Thank you for watching.